Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 14 of albums that are 40 years old in 2022 as we look back and revisit some of our favorite album releases from the year 1982. We have 28 days of February. 28 favorite albums that were each meaning myself and all of you, will be looking at and talking about each and every day. We're at the 14th day, so we're about halfway through the month now. And this particular release came out on March 8th, 1982, produced by Mike Stone, released on Geffen Records. Of course, I'm talking about the debut album from the supergroup known as Asia, the album also known as Asia. First album, great Roger Dean artwork there, of course. Big kind of like Serpentine Dragon there. Of course, this supergroup comprised of Steve Howe from Yes on guitars, John Wetton on bass and vocals, formerly of King Crimson, UK, Roxy Music, Uriah Heep family, right? You got Jeff Downes, formerly of Yes and the Buggles, and none other than Carl Palmer on drums and percussion, formerly of ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So, what's interesting about this particular album is, a lot of hype when this came out. Of course, all four guys really notable. Yeah, maybe Jeff Downes not as much, but the other three certainly very notable. And kind of a coming together of all these legends of the 70s progressive rock scene. And ironically enough, the album is, really not that much of a prog rock album. I mean, there are certainly flourishes and touches here and there, but for the most part, this is just a really strong, well-written, hook-laden, melodic rock album. More like an ARO album. I mean, yeah, sure, like I said, there are some cool guitar solos and keyboard solos, and, a few of the tracks have some, fairly intricate passages, but for the most part, these songs are all really memorable. Like I said, tons of hooks. Songs are fairly, for the most part, on the short side compared to, what their bands had done previously. And this sold boatloads of copies. As a matter of fact, this particular album made it to number one on the U.S. Billboard album charts. All right, we had a couple hit singles on here. You had Heat of the Moment, Only Time Will Tell, and Soul Survivor. The first two, especially Soul Survivor, not that big of a hit, but one of the strong album cuts. And this album went 4 times platinum. 4 million albums sold here in the U.S. It was gold in the UK, gold in Switzerland, platinum in Japan, gold in France, 3 times platinum in Canada, and gold in Australia. A huge seller, one of the big albums released in 1982. I like this album a lot. Unfortunately, when it comes to Asia, I know so many people have asked me over the years, Pete, what do you think about the whole Asia catalog? Would you ever rank the whole Asia catalog? I gotta be honest. I find most of the rest of the catalog of this band really mediocre. This, to me, it's like they got it all out the first go-round. I find all the subsequent albums, there's good songs across all of them, don't get me wrong. And some of the John Payne era albums are pretty good. But I find most of the ones with the original lineup, kind of disappointing other than this one. Unfortunately. Like I said, there are good songs splintered among all of them. But for me, it's like they kind of blew the whole wad right here, right? This is a great album, classic album. Great songs on here. Heat of the Moment, totally memorable song. Only Time Will Tell. Soul Survivor is amazing. One Step Closer, more of a mellower ballad. Time Again is really good. Wildest Dreams, great song. Without You, Cutting It Fine is probably my favorite song on the album. I think Cutting It Fine is really underrated, and it's of all the songs that everybody talks about on this album, that usually doesn't get mentioned, but for me, Cutting It Fine has a great guitar riff on it. It's nice and dramatic, great keys. Wetton's vocals are outstanding on this whole album. And then you got Here Comes the Feeling, which finishes it all up, which, another good track. This album is brimming with hooks and melodies, and like I said, Wetton, I thought, has always been a really fine singer. But early, a little rougher early in his career. Right? If you listen to his vocals on the King Crimson stuff, really good. I love his vocals on the King Crimson album. But when you listen to, or like on Red and Starless and Bible Black and Lark's Tongues and Aspic, and then also really good on the UK album. But for me, I think Wetton truly came into his own as a vocalist in Asia, and certainly on his solo albums right around the same time. So just a gorgeous voice. Whereas I think early on he had a really good voice, but he was still kind of like the bass player, right? Now here he truly became a bona fide dynamic vocalist as well. So yeah, I mean this is a classic album. I really enjoyed this quite a bit. I could still listen to this all the time and get just as much enjoyment as I used to. Like I said, I don't find that with most of the other Asia albums. I don't know. There's a bite to this album. There's just the urgency of the melodies, and just this whole album is unforgettable. And I find a lot of the rest of their catalog pretty much forgettable. I know some people don't agree with me, and that's fine. That's cool. Hey, we don't all have to like the same things, correct? But I think we all can agree that the first album is where it's at, and it belongs in a best of list of 1982. So here it is at number 14 on my countdown to my favorite albums of 1982 as we look back on the 40th anniversary of all these great records. So let us know what you think of Asia's self-titled debut in the comments below, as well as your pick for day 14. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Almost forgot to mention that. I'm not sure if the whole world celebrates Valentine's Day, but here in the States we certainly do. So if you have a significant other, give them a little love today. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tonight, we've got the Hudson Valley Squares as we continue on with our doing all sorts of 1982 stuff this month. Here every morning, 9 a.m. with all of you, and each and every Monday night with the Hudson Valley Squares. We got another 1982 album war coming at you tonight. Saints and Sinners by Whitesnake going up against Rainbow Straight Between the Eyes. So it's the Deep Purple offshoot bands going head to head tonight on the Squares. So please stay tuned for that and cast your vote. And we will see you tonight and then back again here tomorrow morning with another album that is 40 years old in 2022. See you then. I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.